Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here, and today we have a pretty cool battle starting off Fan Fridays. This one sounds pretty interesting from the description. It sounds like just a non-stall battle that has a ton of predictions, a lot of Aegislash mechanics, and just craziness the whole way that ends up dragging itself out really long. So I'd really like to see how this one works out in its own way that, without even having an intentional stall battle happening, one ends up happening. So my god, I just kind of looked down at the turns counter. 55 turns. We're going to be in for a long ride, so let's see how this one goes. That Hydro Pump hit huge on Sableye to open up, though. So we're going to see where that ends up going. Sableye ends up getting withdrawn, and who comes out now? It's... wow, Venusaur. I was like, it's Quagsire, because I saw Quagsire, I was expecting that, but no. It's Venusaur. So, trying to get that switch damage onto... Sableye, getting a kill and getting a free switch out for the reset seemed like a good idea, but instead, with that prediction on the Venusaur, you just have to bring in Aegislash and watch what happens. So, Mega Evolution on Venusaur. Aegislash is going to do its thing, and we're going to see how this one works. Ooh, Sleep Powder. That's incredibly unfortunate. So, we're going to see how this ends up playing out for Aegislash. Aegislash is asleep. What does Venusaur have to really do against Aegislash? Not much, because it ends up withdrawing. Interesting, because this seems like the perfect opportunity to go for Leech Seed, but instead Sableye comes in and I think just wants to get that Will-O-Wisp onto Aegislash as soon as possible, so there's no chance for retaliation. So Sableye goes and does its thing. Prankster, little sneaky guy, going and using that recover. Aegislash wakes up, uses Substitute. Interesting moves all around. Wow, just Substitute on Aegislash. That's pretty crazy and probably messes up the opponent's plans by a lot. So now it actually has really good sustain if you think about it. Leftovers is going to be healing up for 1/16, and the stance change means it's going to be able to attack safely from behind the Substitute. Pretty interesting. And special. Ooh, that's pretty nice. So this guy's just changing it up all across the board. Special attacking Aegislash, hiding behind that Substitute. Foul Play is going to do a lot of damage, and that even means that the Will-O-Wisp wouldn't have been effective against it. So this battle got pretty interesting right there. We do know a couple things, though. We do know that Aegislash is faster, and that it is special attacking, which means that we have a lot of craziness that could happen. So switch out onto Aegislash. I would have seen that as an opportunity to try to score some KOs or do something. But it goes for the taunt into the Rotom. Very interesting. So now Rotom's kind of locked into offensive moves again, has the Volt Switch as an out, has Hydro Pump to do a ton of damage, and look at that. It's the same thing as a couple turns ago. My guess is in comes Venusaur onto a good switch in. Hydro Pump ends up landing, but not expecting a lot of damage here. About a quarter, maybe a fifth of health. The damage does add up over time. Rotom back into the Volt Switch. Are we going to see Aegislash again? Because that would be kind of funny. So let's see how this one works. So Rotom comes back out, or Rotom goes in. Who comes back out? Actually, Venusaur. So we have Venusaur versus Venusaur's matchup right now. That's a pretty good switch, honestly. If you now that I think with the first turn on the Aegislash, no one was really anticipating the Sleep Powder. You could expect Leech Seed or some kind of offense, because with the Rotom especially, offense might have been like the more predictable thing. So now it's just a double Sludge Bomb back and forth, trying to get a good amount of damage. And that was a pretty good switch, because from that Sleep Powder, the way that grass types work right now is powder moves don't affect them. So they can't put each other to sleep, and I'm pretty sure Leech Seed doesn't work either. So now it's just a heal and sustain kind of thing. So opposing Venusaur is using Synthesis to try to heal up more damage than the Sludge Bomb from the ally side is doing, and it's working. So then now our ally gets a free Synthesis, and everything's almost reset. The opponent's Venusaur is faster, which means it does have the advantage. And let's see who's doing more damage. So that's doing nice chunk. And let's see if we can kind of do the math here. It looks like the opposing Venusaur is faster and doing more damage. At least that's my guess on it, which means that the opposing Venusaur might... I'm wondering who's tankier in this one. I feel like the ally side Venusaur is the tankier one, like or maybe the special defense isn't spread out as much. This is just kind of silly right now. So with a lot of just back and forth healing and sludge bombing, I haven't seen this matchup in so long. I'm not even talking about Venusaur versus Venusaur. I'm just talking about any kind of mirror matchup or any kind of matchup where it's not enough damage versus not enough damage and then a heal between them. So this, shouldn't do enough damage to finish off into the Synthesis. And now the opposing's probably going to use Synthesis. Maybe, that's what my guess is. No, Sludge Bomb, so that means if the ally uses Synthesis, then they're just going to gain health. And I wish I was keeping tabs on this, because I didn't know, if we kept a track on the Synthesis timer, who's used Synthesis more times is kind of how you can predict who's going to win here. So my guess, Sludge Bomb, that's not going to be good for the ally. I think that if he had, oh wow, so the opposing Pokemon had a chance to KO right there, because it would have done enough damage from the damage calculations that have been running, and instead goes for the Synthesis, the ally not getting the Synthesis, so now the opposing Pokemon not taking advantage yet again. I feel like the Synthesis was needed, because if the opponent attacked, they're faster, they're going to score that KO. Now the ally uses Synthesis, it's going to heal up more than Sludge Bomb is doing. This is almost like a mind game in its own, what to do here. So, a critical hit. That changes the game right there. So it's pretty much the first person to score a crit and all this kind of got too much of an edge. Opposing Pokemon has it right now to go with that. I would have honestly gone, a double crit back to back. That's unfortunate. I would have gone with the Synthesis just to be safe, because I would expect my opponent to be attacking, but it's all over the place. So Aegislash does avoid the Sleep Powder, gets the stance change. Is this going to be a huge enough hit? What we're looking at a Shadow Ball, special attack Aegislash. Will it do enough? Not quite. Aegislash still holding up from that substitute. Sleep Powder lands this time, unfortunately, and Aegislash is locked into that blade form, so it is going to take a beating. However, opponent looks like it has Sludge Bomb, Sleep Powder, Synthesis. The last move might be Leech Seed or some kind of coverage, so we're going to find, unless they use the last move and I haven't been paying attention. So switching out, the Asleep Aegislash. This is ridiculous, because this battle, this is why I really like the idea of reviewing this battle, is because it's not a stall battle by really any means. No one's trying to stat up, no one's trying to stockpile, no one's trying to do evasion or anything. There's no toxic stalling, there's no overly tankiness. It's just some strange matchups that are kind of trading in an interesting way. I don't understand the switch here as much. I think it was, Giga Drain. So yeah, the opponent does not have a reliable way of damaging Aegislash, which is pretty good for Aegislash right now. That Sludge Bomb, meaning with that Steel typing, Giga Drain's the only option. So I could see it now. I was wondering, why switch into Rotom to Volt Switch out? But that's just to scout out for the fourth move, and it ended up working. So now it's Sableye who's going to try to foul play this Aegislash. Also, actually, never mind. That switch was brilliant, because it was essentially getting Aegislash into shield form while asleep. I see it now. We got a good Aegislash player here. These mechanics are really making me all nice and warm and fuzzy on the inside. So, just crazy switches causing the stall, but it's working out. So, Sableye going for the taunt again. Rotom falling for the taunt on the switch in. What we've seen before, and it's just kind of going in crazy directions. So, opponent using Recover, trying to outstall Rotom, probably going to go for that. Just a Volt Switch. It looks like the opponent's trying to... I can also see what they're doing here. Looks like they're trying to eat up as much turns on the sleep counter as possible. Maybe just switching out, bringing Aegislash, finishing the turn with Aegislash, because I think that ticks the sleep counter. I'm not 100% sure, because I haven't dabbled in sleep mechanics, but it's keeping Aegislash safe. It's forcing the opponent into Sableye. It's forcing the opponent out of Sableye. It's doing a lot of crazy things to the opponent. Sableye uses Taunt. I can see why that's an okay move, and I can see why it isn't. Can't use Substitute after the Taunt. That's why. It's not able to substitute, and it's not able to go into its forms. So that does work pretty well. Sableye getting free health right now, as Aegislash probably goes for some damage. This is where it gets cool. So we're going to see stance change. hopefully a nice strong hit. So here comes Flash Cannon. Boom, right there. Dang, doing more than the recovery is doing, and setting up a lot of potential. So opponent's going to switch. Oh, I was about to say the opponent's probably going to switch right here, but actually Aegislash ends up switching, even though I'm pretty sure we know it's faster with that foul play. And then here comes the Will-O-Wisp. So good move in the end, keeping Aegislash safe from the Will-O-Wisp. That would probably have been much more than enough to do it in right there, because Aegislash is relying on not taking a lot of damage at this point, and also getting not Will-O-Wisp, because from that, Will-O-Wisp would eventually win in 16 turns regardless, because with the leftovers heal, it'd still be losing damage at the end of every turn, which is not what Aegislash wants, especially in this situation. So more switches, Rotom losing a lot of its hit points to that burn. Oh man, that's just unfortunate. And also, wait, Rotom lost hit points. Does that mean it's Life Orb? So it was actually an offensive Rotom using that Volt switch, so that way it doesn't have to take as much damage. Free switching on the Synthesis. Aegislash, let's see how this one goes. There's Sleep Powder. Aegislash avoids it. Ally goes for Substitute. I think that's what it should have tried. The opponent should have tried, or the ally should have, well, twist it up. The ally should have tried that, making it to where now Sleep Powder isn't going to work, and a lot of trickery isn't going to affect right now. So I think, are we going to see Quagsire for the first time? No, back into Sableye. Very interesting. I guess trying to use that foul play to get Sableye, to get that substitute out. So here comes Flash Cannon. It's enough. Finally, a Pokemon goes down on the opponent's side. And now it's looking like we have Venusaur with a good amount of health, Quagsire, who hasn't been seen yet, against pretty much just a special attacking Aegislash behind Substitute and Rotom. This is a good chance to talk about Aegislash right now, because a special attacking Aegislash does do very well. It doesn't have the trickery of Swords Dance and whatnot, but with that Substitute against the right teams, it can be a little more reliable, I can see, because you don't have to worry about getting shut down by Will-O-Wisp. You don't have to worry about shutting yourself down to the, anything. So Quagsire is using Earthquake, Aegislash protecting itself, protecting that Substitute, scouting out what's going on. And yeah, so back to the special attacking Aegislash, it just has reliable damage, and not as many Pokemon are going to be specially defensive. They're mostly defensive right now. So it does pan out to a degree. So we're going to see how much the Shadow Ball does. Half health right there. We know that because of the Earthquake, the Substitute's going to keep him safe, which is really nice. And now, this is where it gets interesting. So Aegislash is going to probably... we know it's going to be going first this turn, so has the option to go into Substitute, which would really be a bad mistake. And depending on how you're going with that, like if you could predict that prediction right there, free Substitute. If not, it's just eating a turn and eating some hit points. So going with the Shadow Ball, just getting the damage on Venusaur as it comes in. And it looks like Venusaur is going to be able to synthesize through this one, as well as maybe even put Aegislash to sleep. So Aegislash switches out into Rotom, just absorbing what Venusaur is going to be doing. There's the Giga Drain, so... I guess it was just a really good... I guess it was more prediction right there, instead of like trying to put it to sleep. Because if he stuck in with the Aegislash, that would have been a free Substitute right there, not really having to worry about sleep. So there's no threat right now for the opponent, so that's a free Sleep Powder. Boom. This is a really intense battle. We're at turn 42. Can you guys believe you just sat through 42 turns of a battle already? And not even a crazy stall battle. It's just a lot of back and forth predictions and just having two Pokemon that are really evenly matched. This is one of the most evenly matched battles between Pokemon I've really seen. And it's being played so well by both sides. Really, I would say the predictions on the ally side are a little more excellent right now, because it does gain edge. But the opponent is also guiding the ally. So there are a lot of crazy things right now. Going for the Shadow Ball instead of the Substitute. I think that Substitute was the best option right there in like every situation. And now this gets dicey. So there's the withdrawal. We need Aegislash to wake up this turn or next turn, or that Earthquake is going to hit way too hard. What do we got? Aegislash goes into that defensive mode and wakes up for the King Shield, but fails because it was a switch. So that was pretty interesting right there. And now here comes the Shadow Ball, finishing off the Quagsire. Big plays right there. That's kind of just really interesting, crazy stuff going on. But I feel like the substitute against Venusaur is probably the best option because Venusaur doesn't do damage to Aegislash. Like, Aegislash is in Blade form, and it's doing about a third of its health. When it was in Shield form, it was doing less than a quarter, so substitute would stay up for multiple turns. But other than that, this game's going pretty well for the ally. So substitute's up. Aegislash isn't going to sleep for a while, and this is still just pretty crazy. Because Venusaur, it looks like right now we have to wait till Shadow Ball does enough damage and hits enough times to where Venusaur just runs out of synthesis. So Aegislash using that protect, getting back into defensive mode, hiding behind that substitute. Venusaur doesn't really have any options, just that Giga Drain, which doesn't do a lot of damage. Yeah, this is pretty crazy. So Giga Drain yet again. Hits because the shield form takes damage, not very effective. Substitute's still up. I'm thinking it's 2 to 3 hits to even break that sub, and we're going to see how that one goes. So Aegislash going for the Shadow Ball right now behind that substitute. I can see where it kind of trades off. So Flash Cannon, interesting choice. Is Aegislash even out of Shadow Balls right now? That would be pretty ridiculous if it was. What's the base power on Flash Cannon? Because I want to say it might be the same? I'm trying to figure this one out. Flash Cannon I think has 80 base power, and Shadow Ball is also 80? Maybe 90 on Shadow Ball, so I think they do the same damage. So Giga Drain, yet again, Aegislash protects itself, and then we're going to see if this substitute breaks. After this, I'm also going to look up Shadow Ball. So here comes Giga Drain. Takes damage, not very effective. It fades. So it is a 2-hit on the substitute, but it's essentially at the point where after 4 turns passes, it's able to put up the thing. So actually, yeah, Shadow Ball has 80 base power, and I believe Flash Cannon also has 80 base power. Yep, so they do the same damage anyways. I was just trying to double check onto that one. But it looks like Venusaur is going to be running out of synthesis soon. This battle has to be over at some point. There's been a lot of synthesis used this entire game, back when it was Venusaur versus Venusaur. So here comes a Sleep Powder. Desperation, looks like it is out of synthesis right now, getting that Sleep Powder while Aegislash is vulnerable at the moment. And going into that shield form and just waiting it out. So here comes Giga Drain, but it has to be over for Venusaur. He knows that the really only way to win is to get about 10 turns worth of sleep hacks. So Aegislash changes stances though. Fast asleep. Dang. Just taking the risk and having it fail. But with the shield form and all that, it doesn't look like much damage is going to be done. Because even when Aegislash is asleep, it does go back into shield form, even if it stays asleep. So there's that. And now we just have to wait for Aegislash to wake up, do the final blow. Giga Drain not really healing up enough at this point. And this is the end of a crazy battle. I think we're on the last turn, turn 54. And here comes turn 55 of 55. So this is the last turn of the battle. No errand crit that did half of Aegislash's health. Nothing too crazy. It looks like Aegislash is going to wake up and finish off Venusaur in one of the craziest battles I have seen in a long time. Like that, it just fascinates me how without any intentional stall, without a really like crazy stall setup, it ended up just coming down to very just well-matched teams and really good predictions on both sides. I feel that the Quagsire didn't, there was a little too rush on the Quagsire, didn't get its chances. And the Venusaur versus Venusaur was played better by the opponent, but Sableye wasn't that useful in the matchup because of the way that like Aegislash was running substitute. It just got all out of control. So hope you guys enjoyed the battle. I know it was a long one, but damn, that's a good battle for what it was. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you all have a nice day.